Hello, Justin.
Hey, Eric, sharp. How you doing? Looking sharp.
My God, thank you.
Another blue suit. You missed the blue suit convention this week.
I did miss the blue suit convention. Ugh,
I know.
so jealous to be sitting in an airport for hours on end just to have a flight get canceled and delayed.
Yeah. The weather did not make it fun for people. We're going to talk a little bit about weather, but first, guess where I am?
Not in Kansas.
No, not in Kansas. I'm in the green room of the Civic Theater in New Orleans, which is where you and I will be, I think, this summer, right?
I was gonna say, I think you are like 5 months early for apartmentalized, Justin.
Oh, my dates, my calendar. I've been in conference mode. I'm just like, go, go, go. I was wondering why no one was here.
You're showing up a little bit early for the party there, buddy.
So it's not cold or snowy here really, but you've been dealing with some of winter weather, right?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, we got a little hit here and there. The challenge for us in Atlanta is that we didn't get snow, but we got a boatload of rain, and then it turned to ice,
Uh-oh.
right? And what happens when ice gets in places you don't want it? It can mess a lot of stuff up. And my roof had a really bad, what I consider a pretty bad leak. So
Yeah.
I had to file my first claim, my first insurance claim.
Wow.
We had this big old leak that happened, and had an adjuster come out and all this kind of stuff. And it's frustrating knowing that your roof is not functioning properly and could ruin your house, ruin where you live.
Right. I'm sure a lot of homeowners, but also like industry operators, owners and operators were dealing with some surprises this last week because of that, because of extra snow, because of rain and ice getting in places you don't want. We actually have somebody here who probably has a lot to say about it because he's been dealing with it for the last week and much longer. Should we bring him on?
Yeah, let's go bring our guest on.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, David.
Gentlemen, Eric, Justin, good morning. Good afternoon.
Hey, yes. Good to see you, David. Thanks for staying inside today and talking with us.
Absolutely. We keep long sleeves on in this weather, so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Sorry about your roof there, Eric. That's a tough thing to wake up or come home to see.
Yeah, there's something to be said about preventative maintenance, right? And the thing is, yes, I have a ladder. Yes, I get up on my own roof, but I am not a roofer, so I don't know what to look for.
Right. Yeah. And you've probably been seeing a lot of this last week. I'm sure. What was your week like? And tell us a little bit more about you and your company.
Yeah. So absolutely. This week, I guess it was Fern, what they've named this.
Yeah.
Interesting. They name it after a green plant when it's so cold and frozen. But this week, a lot what we saw, Eric, you mentioned the water freezing. The freeze-thaw cycle, this invisible wedge is really what we call it. The industry, and it's a matter of moisture getting in places it's not supposed to be. And then as the temperatures drop, the freeze, it expands and it creates a wedge. It opens seams, whether they've been welded or overlapped. Even stuff that was done correctly, a minor deficiency can turn into a real flaw when you get this freeze-thaw cycle. So the invisible wedge is a real thing. What we saw a lot this week was a little bit of lag time. We had that, I guess it came in, Saturday night, Sunday. We had some of the ice come in, some of the, up here in Greenville. And then overnight, we got a little bit of warm up. The sun came out, and then the next night, it froze again. So what we got was a lot of latent failures, right? Stuff that happened 2 and 3 days later. And now we're expected, I guess, to get a little more snow again this weekend. So anything that hasn't already thawed off is probably now going to be buried and refreeze again. So this would be a problem for a couple weeks, I imagine, in our part of the country.
Yeah.
It definitely makes me want to have a metal roof. But David, what is the best roof?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if there was one best, every structure would be built with that. Metal roofs have a lot of really good tendencies. They also have some downfalls as in cold weather. And then there's several different installation types, several different material thicknesses, different gauges. So again, really each structure, just like a multifamily community, every community has its own nuances. Every structure has its own nuances. So a roofing system for one building may be perfectly acceptable, and another one it may cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, we're excited to talk with you more. We're going to be talking with you later this month and dropping some more information about roofing. One of the things I noticed is that what Blue Ridge has been doing, there's some great video content, like of basically basic questions or maybe frequently or infrequently asked questions, kind of answered by just real roofers, which is, it's not a sales guy. It's not a marketing guy. Sorry, Eric, but it's like just a real roofer answering questions. And what are the common, what are common things that you get asked a lot, even without going into detail on answers, but what are people paying attention to in terms of what they want to know?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's trends seasonally for common questions. We deal with a lot of commercial structures. So multifamily community, an apartment complex, a condo complex is considered commercial.
Yeah.
So between a shingle roof, people might say, hey, we had a hailstorm in the area, or what's the expected actual length of life for a roofing system? On a flat roofing system, it might be, hey, how do we deal with the drainage issues that we're having? We have a lot of standing water on our roof. How do we deal with this?
Yeah.
And drainage is really one of the biggest things. The first thing up here on my list is the post-thaw visual inspection, and ponding is the very first thing you can see, right? Ponding is a big detriment to most roofing systems. Roofs are water resistant. Nothing is waterproof if it sits for long enough. So this 5-point storm checklist we put together so that everyone can kind of, get their team together and check it out. If multifamily communities have active staff that go on the roof and do inspections or even minor repairs, this is just quick 4 or 5 bullet points, things to look at, things to touch on, and everyone can kind of wrap their heads around what the next step will be.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm curious. I know you mentioned seasonally. Is there time for? Sorry, I hear an echo. Eric, do you hear an echo?
It is an airplane in the background of David's microphone.
Oh, okay. No, that's all right. I thought it was
why is that airplane there?
Stop.
The whole thing's ruined. Let's cancel the show.
Yeah, so my house is actually in the flight path of GSP of Greenville Airport. So.
Gotcha. No worries. I just thought it was me for a second as I was talking. But
bad look.
I'm curious. How often should people be kind of doing this preventative maintenance on their roof? Like in terms of, is it each season, certain seasons? If when do you check it for what?
Yeah, great question again. There's nothing important in our life goes without some sort of maintenance. We go to the dentist, we go to the doctor, we get our car's oil changed, we do software updates on our phones. There's nothing that is worth anything that we shouldn't be actively participating in maintaining. Minimum annually, once a year, minimum. Depending on where you live, the different factors that affect your roof will absolutely make it more frequent. Trees, for instance, drop a ton of leaves in the fall. I would mention having the roof cleaned off for drainage in the fall, and I would mention having roofs inspected in the spring for damages that occurred in the winter. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. If you touch it in the spring and the fall, you prepare for the summer, you deal with what is happening in the spring. In the fall, you get ready for these types of events that, ice is not common in this part of the country. Snow is not really, it happens, but it's not. So when it does happen and you've got built up concerns from nature, organics and things, it just exacerbates the problem. It makes it way worse. And maintenance is so simple. It's really cost effective. It drives control. It makes things predictable. And I think in the multifamily space, the worst thing is unpredictability, right? Like having no concept of what's coming destroys budgets, adds stress, leads to unhappy residents. It's really a cycle that can be controlled with just a small amount of proactive management.
Yeah, that's great. Well, if people are interested, what areas do you cover? Does Blue Ridge Roofing cover? Like if you're living in these spaces, there's a QR code you should scan. To get more information.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're licensed Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. I'm proud to participate in South Carolina, North Carolina, make my way up into Tennessee, and I've spent a lot of time in Florida, so I'm happy to bounce around, and if I can be an asset to people. Our maintenance program is our commercial asset program, CAP, and it's all about getting the most out of your roof's life. It's about managing your costs, being predictable, and taking away those unknowns, right? Those variables. We want to limit those. It's much more cost effective, extremely simple. We give you a report card, a little health report card, A, B, C, D, F grades. We want to move you from a C, D to a B, right? Let's get more out of the roof. This shouldn't turn into a big giant project. It should be simple and move on.
Yeah, I love that. Eric, anything else we forgot to ask?
No, I think roofs in the north, different problems, different areas. Some have snow, some don't.
Yeah. Well, let's send David out by raising the roof. Thank you, David. Great job. Great job. There you go. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Be safe.
Eric,
Awesome.
I really do love your voice. It's amazing.
It's, once you get that mic in me and the auto tune, it's great.
All right, let's go through these in about a couple minutes, shall we?
Yeah, Apartment List announced their renter guide. They interviewed about 1,000 renters and gave us a nice little report. You can go check that out. Mike Wolber posted about it, so go check it.
Acquisition, another one, right?
Yeah. Tim Ray announced acquiring Opsana. I can't say this. Opsansa. I think this was an acquisition that was in 2025, but maybe he just announced it here. But
I know Opsansa won an award in 2025 in December. I saw that. But yeah, interesting. Well, it's very exciting. They're kind of building out their solutions to help that leasing process, obviously in the verification, fraud mitigation space. That's very cool. Apartments.com announced something too.
Yeah, they've essentially enhanced their search now. You can use more natural language. This is just going more in the direction of allowing residents to ask for exactly what they want as if they were having a conversation, as opposed to having to click and click and click and click all these filters and this, that, and the other thing. So, little by little, we're headed more towards that voice search version. And there's some more to come with Apartments.com after number 4.
Yeah, and you turned me onto this Biz Now article. There's an article sort of on the immigration implications for a lot of owners and operators, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we all know the news that's been happening in Minneapolis, and I think it's kind of timely to this report that was run by John Burns Research and Consulting. They found that about 40% of apartment owners and developers and investors say that these recent immigration policies are hurting leasing and occupancy. Now, the caveat of this is that, most of the people that were surveyed, only about 1% said, there's essentially, this massive impact versus, but most of them just have not seen an impact specifically with their properties, right? So this is not an across the board thing, but we don't want to frame this as something that's one-sided, but it's more essentially the impact of this is primarily happening in Florida, specifically.
Right.
67% of landlords reported that negative impact. And Texas as well, 21% reported a significant negative impact. 26 reported, somewhat negative. So it is having an effect.
Right. Well, there's things that there's things that are procedural that have their effect, and then there's perception, which also has an effect, and fear can motivate people to do lots of different things. So it's the data is going to keep you showing what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we're tracking this trend just because it is something, and it's trending upward at this point.
Yeah. All right. More news.
All right. More about Apartments.com. Just today, they announced a little feature bump, but I think it's moving us in the right direction to help support renters. Right. I mean, our residents are the lifeblood. They're paying for rent, so why not show the total monthly price? So you can get this badge on your listings if you allow the total monthly price to be shown, right? Mm-hmm. This is something that's been coming more at the federal level, for price transparency, and Apartments.com announced that.
Yeah. and some more announcements. Recently, ChatGPT made advertising available, and ResPage put something together on this, right?
Yeah, that's right. So ResPage is kind of digging deep. Actually, it's not yet available. They're going to be doing it, but essentially it's coming out soon. What I've read is that the ads are going to be almost 3 times more than what you might do with Google. So this is probably more for folks who are trying to do premier advertising, like they have a higher ticket price item. But we are looking into what implications this might have for marketing departments, for residences, for property managers. Because ultimately, if I'm trying to compare apples to apples with 2 or 3 different apartments, I might want my apartment to be thrown in the loop. I think there's a lot of marketers that might use some consideration phase marketing, right? So you're trying to decide which apartment to go with, and you maybe run an ad that has some of the opinions or reviews from your apartment, nice and big, to show off, hey, lots of people who have dogs really like our apartment. Why not come get a tour?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm jumping around here because something's out of order, but, Built's in the news every week. And now we have lots of people following in their footsteps, kind of chasing sort of this space. Amenify is chasing a very specific space, correct?
Yeah. So Amenify just announced a partnership with Visa that allows you to link your existing Visa card with rent payments and some of that everyday spend. You don't need a new card. That's a big difference between what Built has been doing, coming out with their own card. With Built, their whole thing is you earn rewards on your rent through their network and their card, whereas Amenify's angle in this case is just embedding the rewards at the property level and then keeping all of that value inside of their ecosystem, right? So the perks, local services, and resident commerce, all with a card that you currently have.
Yeah. And, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And people continue to kind of follow Built's lead. This was just at an annual meeting in Vegas this week. You can see the Northmark logos and wraps. They created their own kind of food court, cafe, bar space within the Aria Hotel. It was right where people had to walk. It was there were people coming in, going in. There was VIP sections. There was other kinds of sections, taking a page out of what Built was talked about a lot at PropTech when they built a cafe from scratch, which is slightly different than this, but still a great idea.
Yeah, very interesting. And I'm going to click away from this because now I'm getting dizzy.
That was the goal. Eric. So PropTech. Or not PropTech, annual meeting. We're just, I don't even know where I am. Where am I?
You don't even know what city you're in.
The most common thing I heard was, "Where's Eric?" No, that's not kidding. But there was a few folks. There was a few folks that said, "Hey, where were you? We're usually in tandem. It's weird to have a hotel room to myself in Vegas, but
it must be nice."
Stretch it out.
Yeah, starfish.
But there was some. It was a very good conference. I think somebody mentioned that maybe close to 2,000 people couldn't make it, but there was still a major contingent there, the majority, and there was some new stuff. Call out to Chris Moreno and the Retzi team that you can definitely see their presence there. They're creating particular like pathways, if you want to call it that, or networking time for the sort of the Retzi movement, the Political Action Committee. Biggest takeaway is honestly that housing is not going to be just a political issue or just an industry issue. It's going to be an issue for everyone. Like people are going to, Americans are going to know about housing legislation. It's going to be much more discussed more often, more frequently. There's going to be more stuff happening, and that the way to really move forward in a lot of these places is a bipartisan effort to get more housing made, because if you pull too far one way or the other, you end up hurting. So it's this kind of striking the right balance. That was a big theme. The other one was that we need young people. We need younger people to step up, let their voices be heard, start taking ownership, start leading. And there's marks of that. There are people that are doing that. There are younger people now donating to the Political Action Committee than ever before. There are people, getting more involved in this industry. So it's a positive thing.
Yeah, I am excited to hear that. I think the double-edged sword with ushering in the next generation is that you need folks that have been in this industry for a while to help support them and guide them. It's not necessarily telling them what to do. It's more, making introductions, getting them into the room, getting them up on stage to hear opinions. You and I talk about lots of, voices in the industry. When we go to these events and we try to invite them on the show, and if they want to come on, they're more than welcome to come on, right? We want to hear the various perspectives of everyone inside of our industry. So open call and invite to the next generation.
Yes, for sure.
If we made it this far into our not TikTok worthy show.
Well, that's probably a good thing for us, Eric.
Yeah, probably. Should we? So somehow we did quite well.
We're doing well. We're moving on. We'll have some more information kind of dropping about the annual meeting. It'll be available on Multifamily Media Network, some articles. It'll probably come up in a couple other episodes. We may have somebody come on and kind of do their take on it as well. I was talking to some folks, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Should we move to predictions?
Yes, that's exactly where we should go.
Yeah, I should probably get an image in here. I don't know.
Maybe, or just start talking about what you want to say.
Yeah, so we basically asked a bunch of folks to give us some predictions, and we got a little bit of feedback from people. Sadly enough, I have not collated this in the fashion that I wish I could have, but I will say we ended up getting some interesting predictions from the Built team, and I'm going to share those with you in just a moment. But Justin, what are your big predictions? Like, do you have a big, bold prediction as I put you on the spot?
Sure. My big bold. I think things are going to move in more. I think we're in a phase right now where everyone is going to try to do everything. Like, I'm a PMC. I'm going to try to be all kinds of diverse portfolios. And from a fiscal sense, that makes sense. But I think from an operator sense or from a technology sense, I think people are going to start focusing on a niche, and we're going to see a little more. We're going to see some of these we're going to see some of these systems and some of these companies double down on branding and double down on purpose, and we're going to see more more property management companies that offer a particular brand, more lifestyle brands, more apartment brands. That's going to be, this is the type of apartment when you live here. And I think the same thing is true on the service side, where we're going to have more integrations with some of these core systems. We're going to have more companies that support those integrations, and products are going to try to do less of everything and really do what they do really well and figure out how to share that with everybody. That's my predictions.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Why you generated that graphic?
Well, no, the graphic is already made.
Okay.
That was pre-made. I just had to download it. So we had a conversation, or we got some quotes in from the Built team. So this is CEO and founder Ankur Jain said that home isn't just the four walls that you live in. It's a neighborhood where you meet friends for dinner, errands. You basically build your life. And in 2026, the properties that win will be the ones that sit at the center of both home and neighborhood. So that's where they're betting big. They believe that if you build the community, engage the residents in a meaningful way every day, then you will succeed. So he's saying that platforms like Built provide the foundation for the shift. And as operators move away from the fragmented apps and unify the resident journey into a single, seamless, magical experience, they can deliver that personalized offer and timely touch points. So similar to what you were just touching on there. all of this drives better applications, more leases signed, on-time rent payments, early renewals, right? So my graphic here is just kind of touching on the fact that AI has a potential to automate, up to 40% of improvement on collections, right? We can have 80% less time spent on renewals. AI very much so can and should be handling a lot of this. It's repetitive. It's frustrating. It's time consuming. Yes, there should be a human touch, but that should be for the high value resident interactions, right?
Yeah.
And that's what property managers have been harping about, right? You can't get to everyone all the time.
Right.
And you need backup and support. And when you remove all of the support that did exist with human capital, then you got to replace it with something.
Right.
So there's if you look at loyalty, replacing concessions, right? There's the ability to have 20% increase in early renewals by using loyalty as opposed to concessions. And then ultimately they talk about tapping into neighborhood commerce, right? So rent is not just the only driver of NOI. You can use partnerships with local merchants to create those new revenue streams. Lots of other ways to tap into NOI, of course, but this is, more or less, at the transactional level, companies like Built and Amenify, this is where they see the future going.
Yeah, very cool. Good stuff, sir. Good stuff.
Well, I will say my big bold prediction, Justin, is very simple, that the hotelification is just going to continue. We're going to continue to see renters want to be rewarded for their loyalty to a specific brand. I think we're going to continue to see additional roll-ups. I think the incumbents will continue to take big chunks out of mid-market, and they'll start to roll up potentially into, especially the ones that are, did a lot of purchasing in 2020, 2021. Those 5-year notes are coming due now. And, if they're not able to refi, which they're under a lot of stress, Jay Parsons made a lot of comments on this. A lot of those owners are under stress to either just, dispose of their asset or to find ways to shrink the debt. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
So
that's good. I agree with you.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is if you're an owner, putting pressure on the property management team, whether third party or not, this is a lot of how it might feel right here.
And my future wife's mother-in-law asked me to keep something for her, so I thought I would put it in here. Let's see, where did I put it?
This is trying to unlock NOI in 2026.
It's like an escape room.
Yeah, sort of like that.
These. This will only take just a little minute. I'm gonna need this key right here.
Yeah, just a skeleton key. That's all you need.
Push that right there. But I told her I would keep it in here for her safe. Said something about not liking bees or peanuts or something. I can't remember exactly what she said. She was talking a lot. And then I'm gonna need, let's see, compartment here. I need these guys right here. This one goes here. This one goes
And any viewer that we had has now vanished.
And they're gone.
See. Where did you find this? Who's this person on TikTok?
Oh, it's on the TikToks, my friend, the tickety talks.
Oh, look at you, so hip.
Oh, I am.
Despite that blue blazer, there's a cool guy in there somewhere.
No, don't mess with me on the cool kid language. Don't worry, he has to go back to the pearls at some point. He's gonna have to go back to the pearls.
I mean,
It
it's very
just
simple.
keeps
It
going.
just takes a couple minutes to get in there, but
When do we get to watch them play the chess game to then come?
That's what I was thinking. This might just be an awesome chess game. Now you got to get the pearls out. We're almost to the end.
4 of them.
You got to get the right pearls
If I
down.
spill them.
Now I understand why you didn't show this to me before we started.
Oops, I spilled it.
Oh, drop the pearl.
Anyway, she said to keep it safe for her. So as soon as you push the last pearl
In this
in,
time, you could have probably underwritten it.
I'm
down.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed
And
with
then
the build. I mean, I'm impressed
not
with
drop any
the
of
construction.
those.
Oh, I-
Here you got this tail, but you gotta unlock it up here first. Where's it at?
But to be honest, this
Yeah.
is what I think maintenance
Unlock
teams
it.
are like sometimes if they don't have a digital
And then when
system.
you turn this tail right here, that pops that open. Yeah, she asked me to keep that in there, and I am not
There's
exactly
the
sure what it is,
EpiPen.
but I'm keeping it safe for her.
And on that bizarre note,